Hey, what's going on, everyone? Bass here. So today we're going to be going over the PFF grades for the Week 12 victory, Green Bay Packers versus LA Rams. That victory 36-28. And in this series, if you are new here, basically we go over the winners or high grades, and then also the losers or the low grades on both offense and defense for the Packers. So if you are new here, like I said, please consider going down and clicking that subscribe button and also leaving a like on the video as it helps out my channel a ton. So let's jump right into it and start with the offensive winners and bring up the screen here. And first on this list, we do have Randall Cobb. He was the highest graded offensive player this week and also his second highest grade on the year. He had an 87.7 overall grade and receiving grade. Now, this is only, of course, 19 snaps when he left late in the first half with that groin injury. But before then, he had 4 receptions on 5 targets for 95 yards and that touchdown and a whopping 6.79 yards per route run, which is insane. But in the first half, Randall Cobb looked like young Randall Cobb again. I mean, the dude was flying around everywhere, a lot of yards after the catch, juking guys out. He looked really good, so hopefully there's nothing long-term with that groin injury. Now, of course, we do have that bye week coming up, but hopefully everything is all good to go for Week 14. Next up, we have Aaron Rodgers, who is the second highest graded player on offense this week. He had an 85.8 overall grade, which was also his second highest graded game on the year, and an 83.6 passing grade. Aaron Rodgers went 28 for 45, 307 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and of course that one rushing touchdown where he pump faked Jalen Ramsey there. He had a 97.2 passer rating. And just shows how great Aaron Rodgers is, the fact that he really hasn't practiced in the past few weeks, also with that fractured toe, and can still come in here against a very solid team and a very good defense in the Rams and still just play super, super well. Lastly, for the offensive winners, we do have Devante Adams, who is the third highest graded offensive player this week. 80.2 overall grade, 78.9 receiving grade. He had 8 catches on 9 targets for 104 yards. And a lot of you may be asking how many of those came against Jalen Ramsey, because everyone is always watching that matchup. And he had 5 catches on 5 targets, so 100% on Jalen Ramsey for 41 yards and 3 first downs. And Ramsey graded this game with a 56.1, so a very, very poor grade. So at this point, I really think Jalen Ramsey should think about stop talking smack about his father. It's just not right. As for the offensive losers, we do have a couple of them this week. Firstly, we have Mercedes Lewis, who is lowest graded on offense this week. His lowest graded game of the year, a 35.5 overall, 28.0 receiving grade, 62.1 pass block grade, and a 59.9 run block grade. Mercedes Lewis only had 2 catches on 3 targets for only 4 yards. And hopefully he returns to his week 5, 6, and 7 form where he was grading out in the mid to high 80s. He was playing really well in those stretch of games, so hopefully he can just return to that form. Lastly, for the offensive losers, we have John Runyon, and this was by far his worst graded game of the year. He was the second lowest graded player on offense this week with a 38.2 overall grade, 24.6 pass block grade, and a 45.6 run block grade. He gave up 1 hit, 1 hurry, and 2 pressures. Now, although Royce Newman gave up more pressures with 4 and Billy Turner with 6, so kind of interesting there. But at the end of the day, you go into this game as an interior offensive lineman, and you have Aaron Donald. You know, you have to go against Aaron Donald, who is an absolute menace to offensive linemen. So you kind of go into this expecting to have trouble. So if I were to, if I was a betting man before this game, I would have bet that pretty much all 3 of those interior offensive linemen didn't grade out well, and John Runyon definitely did not. Now, flipping over to the defensive side, let's talk about the defensive winners. And first up is Rasul Douglas, who's been such a pleasant surprise this year. He has been such a great signing for this defense. He balled out and was the highest graded defender this week. He was also his highest graded game of his career. He had a 91.2 overall grade, a 75.9 run defense, 78.8 tackle, and a 91.0 coverage grade. He only allowed 3 receptions on 10 targets for 79 yards and 1 touchdown, although most of those yards and that touchdown came in garbage time. Odell Beckham's 54-yard touchdown was in garbage time. Now, Rasul could have played that ball better on that double move and could have tracked him better, but at the end of the day, it was garbage time. Allowing only 3 receptions on 10 targets is super, super impressive. And of course, he also had that 1 interception that he took for the touchdown and 1 pass breakup, his first pick 6 of his career. And I think at this point, the Packers should really look into extending Rasul Douglas. I think they should look to keeping him around for the near future. Shawn Sullivan's on the last year of his deal. Kevin King's on the last year of his deal. Obviously, we have Jair Alexander will be coming back hopefully the remainder of this year, and then also Shamar Jean-Charles we do have. So I think they should look into extending him. Second, for the defensive winners, we do have Chris Barnes. He was the second highest graded player this week and also his best graded game of his career as well. That's kind of the running theme this week, whether it be a lowest graded game of their career or highest. That's kind of the theme this week. He had an 89.4 overall grade, 68.9 run defense grade, 62.5 tackle, and an 87.2 coverage grade. Chris Barnes had 1 pressure, 8 total tackles, and 4 stops. Now, some of those coverage plays, they did have him covering Cooper Kupp, which was a question mark for me. I was like, why are they doing this? Why are they putting Chris Barnes on one of the best slot receivers in the league? But he actually did pretty well in those scenarios given the circumstances. Lastly, for the defensive winners, we have none other than Rashan Gary, who is on the defensive winners list a lot this year, just been balling out this year. He had a 77.4 overall grade, 67.6 run defense grade, 75.3 tackle, and a 72.0 pass rush grade. He had 4 pressures, 1 sack, 1 stop, and 1 forced fumble, obviously on that 1 sack against Matthew Stafford. And it seemed like his hurt elbow didn't affect him at all. Obviously, he was wearing that elbow brace. If you look closely, you could see it under his sleeve. But it didn't seem like he had an injury at all in this game. Just normal old Rashan Gary play, and he just did really, really well rushing the passer. He has 50 pressures on the year, which is first on the team, and he's just been such a big part to this defense. As for the defensive losers, first up we have Dean Lowry, who had his lowest graded game of the year. He had a 30.5 overall grade, 29.4 run defense grade, and a 57.6 pass rush grade. His only recorded stat in this game was 1 pressure, so really just an off game for a guy who's been very solid this year. Dean Lowry's been playing really well this year and actually has been a very big part of this front seven, getting pressure with only bringing 4 most of the time, that Joe Barry defense. Dean Lowry's been a big part of that, so just an off game for him. Lastly, we have slot cornerback Shawn Sullivan. He was the second lowest graded defender this week with a 44.9 overall grade, 66.6 run defense grade, and a 40.7 coverage grade. He allowed 2 receptions on 3 targets for 98 yards and 1 touchdown. Obviously, that touchdown coming on that long pass play, I think it was 78 yards to Van Jefferson, allowing a passer rating of 149.3. Now, I will say on the Jefferson touchdown, it looked like there was supposed to be a replace safety in that coverage. I think it was Amos that dropped into the box. It looked like Savage was supposed to replace his zone. And I say this because Shawn Sullivan was playing an outside shade against a slot receiver, which typically isn't normal if you were to have no safety help. So I think that Shawn Sullivan expected to have safety help but didn't get it. So then off that in breaking post, it was easy for Van Jefferson to gain steps on Shawn Sullivan. Now, you could say, well, it's his guy. He's got to play tighter coverage. He's got to make a play on the ball, which I can agree on, but I still think Shawn Sullivan expected to have safety help there. So who truly knows if that touchdown was fully on Shawn Sullivan, but Sullivan's been pretty average this year. At this point, I kind of expected to see a little bit more Shimon Jean-Charles mixed into the defense, but that just hasn't been the case. But that about does it for today's video. Just an overall very, very solid game by the Green Bay Packers to get this victory going into the bye week, moving up to 9-3. I thought the offense played well. I thought the defense played well. I thought the special teams played better. Mason Crosby, only missed 1 field goal. He made a few, so that's good. Randall Cobb with the muff punt. It was a really windy day, but they also created a turnover on a punt, and I thought they covered kicks and punts pretty well as well. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you agree or disagree with these grades? Just comment it down below. But on that note, I'll catch you on the next one, and as always, go Pack Go.